Class, our topic for today is economics. Take note that economics is only a minor topic in the board exam. Basic questions lang lumalabas yan. Okay? So lahat ng concepts na di-discuss ko today, yun lang yung kailangan mong malaman for the board exam. Alright? Now, ang technique in economics is to remember lahat ng examples na ibibigay ko para mas madali mong ma-visualize yung mga concepts. Understood? Sige, let's start. Economics. We have two branches in economics. We have microeconomics and macroeconomics. For microeconomics, we will study individuals and businesses. For macroeconomics, we will study the entire economy of a country. Alright? Now, kaya siya tinawag na macro because larger scale yung pag-uusapan natin. The entire economy. Alright? Kaya siya tinawag na micro, smaller scale naman yan. The individuals and businesses. Start ba tayo with microeconomics. The main concept in microeconomics is the demand and supply. Wala yan. Yan yung pinaka-concept talaga ng microeconomics. Pag sabi microeconomics, dapat unang mo iisip, demand and supply. Alright? Now, in microeconomics, we have what you call the market. Alright? And in a market, meron tayong buyer and seller. Now, para mas ma-imagine mo yan, isipin mo yung market para siyang si SM. Okay? And then yung buyer, tayo yan, yung mga consumers. Yung seller naman, yan yung mga stores na nasa loob ni SM. We have the market, sa loob ng market, we have buyer and seller. Now, pag sabi mong demand, ito yung point of view ni buyer. When you say supply, point of view naman yan ni seller. Understood? Okay, now, start muna tayo with demand. Hiwalay natin yung discussion on demand and supply. Okay, ito yung demand natin. Now, yung graph na to class, ang tawag dyan, demand schedule. Alright? Demand schedule. Sa vertical axis natin, yung price of a product. For example, ang binibenta natin, marker. Price ng marker, ito yan. Yung horizontal naman, yun yung demand sa marker. Ang tawag dun class, quantity demanded. Yun yung term na ginagamit sa demand. Alright? So, price and demand. Kung mapapansin mo class, yung graph natin pababa. Okay? Because according to the law of demand, sabi doon sa law of demand, as the price of a product increases, the demand for that product decreases. So may inverse relationship yung price at demand. Example, marker, di ba? For example, 20 pesos talaga yung presyo nito. 20 pesos. Pag binenta ko sa ito, ginawa kong 50 pesos, konti ang bibili sa akin. Okay? Pag tinaas mo yung price, konti ang bibili sa'yo. Right? So if you look at our graph, for example, yung price natin 10 pesos. 10 pesos ang bibili sa'yo, 4 units ang bibili sa'yo. Pag tinaas mo yung price, ginawa mong 50 pesos, ang bibili na lang sa'yo, isang unit na lang. Okay? Habang tinataas mo yung price, bumababa yung demand. And vice versa, pag binaba mo yung price, tataas naman yung demand. Gets? Okay. Ang tawag natin dito class, yung pababa na yan, ang term dyan is downward sloping. Okay? So pag sa demand curve yung tawag dyan sa graph, downward sloping demand curve. Okay? Sir, bakit siya downward sloping? Sulat ko dito. Downward sloping. Meron tayong two reasons. Okay, 1, 2. Meron tayong two reasons kung bakit ganyan yung graph ng demand curve. First reason natin, class, sulat mo to. It's because of the substitution effect. Sir, ano yung substitution effect? Substitution effect, class, if the price of a product increases, the buyer would look for substitutes. Okay? Would look for substitutes. For example, sulat mo yung mga example natin. Tumaas yung price ng chicken. Okay, tumaas yung price of a chicken. Okay? Ngayon, pag tumaas yung price ng chicken, well, hanap ako ng substitute. Bibiling ko na lang pork. O kaya, bibiling ko na lang fish. Okay? Bababa yung demand sa chicken. Does that make sense? Pag tumaas yung price ng chicken, hanap ako ng substitute. Or hanap ako ng alternatives. Pork or kaya fish. Bababa yung demand sa chicken. Okay? Pag tumaas yung price, bababa yung demand. Law of demand. Alright? Now, may isa pang another concept under substitution effect. If the price of complementary goods or product increases, the demand decreases. Okay? If the price of a complementary product increases, the demand decreases. Ano ibig sabihin, sir? Magbigay tayo ng example. For example, class, tumaas yung price ng sugar. Okay? Tumaas yung price ng sugar. Ngayon, yung sugar, ginagamit mo yan para makagawa ng Coke, Coca-Cola. Okay? Pag tumaas yung price ng sugar, syempre tataas din yung price ng Coca-Cola. Tama ba? So, bababa yung demand mo sa Coke. Pag sinabi mong complementary, related goods ang ibig sabihin yan. Yung sugar, ginagamit mo yan sa paggawa ng Coke. Okay? So, pag tumaas yung price ng sugar, bababa yung demand sa Coke. For example, pag tumaas yung price ng gas, well, mas konti yung mamomotivate na bumili ng sasakyan. Okay? Bababa yung demand sa cars, ng mga vehicles natin. Right? Pag tumaas yung price, bababa yung demand. Ang tawag natin doon, law of demand. Right? Ang first reason natin kung bakit downward sloping is because of the substitution effect. Again, tatanda mo na lagi yung mga examples natin. Mas may visualize mo siya. Okay, sige, next. Second reason kung bakit downward sloping is because of the income effect. Sir, ano ibig sabihin ng income effect? May tatlo yan. If the price of a product decreases, okay, given, sulat mo na, same income, given same income, the demand for that product will increase. Okay? If the price of a product decreases, given same pa rin yung income mo, the demand for that product will increase. Example, lagi tayo may example para mas ma-imagine mo yan. Example class, ang monthly income ko, kunwari lang, monthly income is 50,000. Okay, 50,000. Now, ang ginagawa ko dyan sa 50,000 na monthly income, 10% yan, bibili ko ng t-shirt for example. Okay, ano ba 10% nito? 10% nito class is 5,000, right? Bibili ko ng t-shirt every month for 5,000. Let's say nung January, yung price ng t-shirt is 1,000. Nung Feb, tumaas siya. Bumaba siya. Bumaba yung price, naging 500 na lang. Tama ba class? Sa January, kung may 5,000 ako na nakasave para pambili ng t-shirt, makakabili ko ng 5 t-shirts. So January, tama? Sa Feb naman, bumaba siya. Yung t-shirt from 1,000 pesos, naging 500 na lang. 10 pieces na yung mabibili ko dyan. Ano nangyari? Tumaas yung demand ko. Okay? Ulitin ko. If the price of a product decreases, yung t-shirt natin, bumaba from 1,000 to 500. Given same income, same pa rin income ko, 5,000 pa rin yung gagastusin ko for January, 5,000 for February. Okay? Or 50,000 pa rin yung income ko. The demand for the product increases. From 5, naging 10. Okay? Obviously, syempre, pag mas mura yung product, same pa rin naman yung income ko, mas marami akong mabibili. Ang tawag mo doon, income effect. Number 2, as income increases, the demand for normal goods increases. Okay, yung third, as income increases, the demand for inferior goods decreases. Okay, sir, ano ba yung normal goods at inferior goods? Doon tayo sa inferior goods. For example, bago ka maging CPA, okay, ang iniinom mo lang 3-in-1 coffee. Okay, 3-in-1 lang. Now, nung naging CPA ka na or na-promote ka sa trabaho, Starbucks lang iniinom mo. Okay, ang tawag doon, normal good. Pag sinabi mo normal good, yun yung goods na binibili mo pag tumataas yung income mo. Alright? So, pag tumaas yung income mo, 50,000 yung naging income mo, ang tendency yung bibili ka ng Starbucks. Alright? Lagyan natin dito, Starbucks. Pero, pag tumaas yung income mo, most likely, hindi ka na bibili masyado ng 3-in-1. Okay? In generally, no? Pero syempre, hindi naman laging yun yung case. Ulitin ko lang. Pag sinabi mong inferior good, mas madaling isipin yung inferior good eh. Pag isabi mo inferior good, pag tumaas yung income ko, mas konti na yung bibiling kong ganyan. 3-in-1 yung example natin. Ano pa? Cup noodles. For example, ang breakfast mo lang cup noodles. Nung wala ka pa masyadong income. Inferior good yung tawag doon. Pag tumaas yung income mo, ang tendency mo is bumili ka ng normal goods. Ang example natin, normal goods, let's say Starbucks. Normally, pag tumaas yung income mo, ito yung mga bibilin mo. Right? So, ulitin ko, as income increases, demand for normal goods increases. As income increases, demand for inferior goods decreases. Tandaan mo na lang, inferior, 3-in-1. Normal, Starbucks. Okay? So, yan. Now, downward sloping because of substitution effect and income effect. Now class, ingat ka lang kasi hindi naman every time na magkakaroon ka ng income, same pa rin yung bibilin mo or constant pa rin yung demand mo. Bakit sir? Because meron tayong tinatawag na law of diminishing, sulat mo to class, diminishing marginal utility. Okay, so medyo technical pero madali lang intindihin yan. Law of diminishing marginal utility, according to that law, the more we consume, the less marginal utility we receive. Okay, so basahin natin and then I'll give you an illustration. Hindi ba sa nagka-income ka, constant yung demand mo? Hindi ganun. Because meron tayong tinatawag na law of diminishing marginal utility. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng utility? Ano muna? Yung marginal muna. Pag sabi mo marginal, ibig sabihin niya additional. Okay? Pag sabi mo utility, ibig sabihin niyan satisfaction. Additional satisfaction. So basahin natin. Sabi diyan, the more we consume, the less additional satisfaction we receive. Ang magandang example niyang class is pumunta ka sa buffet. Alright? For example, Vikings. Okay? Vikings ka. Buffet, di ba? Ngayon, yung first round mo, okay? First round mo, dahil mong kinuha. Tama? First round eh. Gutom ka pa, di ba? First round, dahil mong kinuha. Second round, marami pa rin. Kaya pa, di ba? Sa third round, medyo hindi na masyado. Medyo kumonte. Kalahati na lang siguro ng plate yung nakuha mo. Sa fourth round, mga desserts na lang, no? And then, sabihin na naka-fifth round ka pa. Wala na, konting-konti na lang. As we consume, mas diba, nabubusog tayo, diba, sa buffet example natin. As we consume, the less satisfaction we receive. Okay, ang tawag doon, law of diminishing marginal utility. Ang point niyan is, hindi basta nagkakaroon ka ng income, constant yung demand mo. Hindi, bababa yan. Because of diminishing, ano ba diminishing? Ibig sabihin, decreasing. Because of decreasing marginal utility. Downward sloping demand curve. Clear? Okay. Now, next nating class is elasticity of demand. Sir, ano ibig sabihin mo ng elasticity of demand? Pag sabi mo elasticity of demand class, this is the sensitivity of demand due to price change. Okay, due to price change. Sensitivity of demand due to price change. Okay? Pag tumaas yung price, gaano ka sensitive or gaano magre-react yung demand natin. Magbigay tayo ng examples later. Now, ang formula dito class, FYI lang, is change in demand over change in price. Alright? Meron tayong 3 na elasticity. 3 types yan. Meron tayong tinatawag na elastic. Pag more than 1, ang tawag mo dyan, elastic. Okay? Pag equal to 1, ang tawag dyan, unitary elastic. And if less than 1, inelastic yung tawag dyan, class. Okay? So, pag sinabi mong elasticity, gaano ka-sensitive yung demand natin pag nagbago yung price. Pag more than 1, elastic. Equal to 1, unitary elastic. Less than 1, inelastic. Okay? Pag sinabi mong elastic, sensitive yung demand natin. Sensitive. Pag sinabi mong inelastic, hindi yan sensitive. Not sensitive. Okay? Ano mga examples, sir, ng mga elastic na products? Ang magandang example nito, class, yung mga luxury products, and yung mga products with close substitutes. Close substitutes. Okay, magbigay tayo ng example. Luxury, for example, ano ba? For example, Toyota Fortuner. Ayan, Toyota Fortuner. Pag tumaas yung price niya ng Toyota Fortuner, lilipat ako sa iba. Bibiliin ko na lang Montero Sport. O kaya Ford Everest. Ganun siya. So, elastic yun. Ibig sabihin, pag in-increase mo yung price, sensitive yung demand doon. Malilipat yung mga buyers sa ibang products. Okay, for example, ano yung mga walang close substitutes? Ano yung may mga close substitutes? For example, tumaas yung price ng Coca-Cola. Pag masyadong tumaas yung price ng Coca-Cola, let's say tumaas siya ng 50%, lilipat Pepsi na lang iinumin ko or Sprite na lang iinumin ko. Gets? What else? For example, class, airline ticket. Airline ticket. Pag si Pal, tinaasan niya yung airline ticket, well, doon ako kay Cebu Pacific. Titingin ako doon, baka may mas murang ticket doon, ticket prices. So, yan. Ito yung mga examples natin na elastic. Ibig sabihin ng elastic, pag tumaas yung price, lilipat tayo sa iba. Bababa yung demand. Okay? Malaki yung sensitive siya doon sa price. Okay? Now, pag sinabi mo inelastic naman, class, opposite siya ng elastic, not sensitive. Yung mga examples nito, yung mga necessities. Or yung, kung ito, close substitutes, no close substitutes. Alright? Maganda example nito, class, tumaas yung presyo ng rice. Kahit ano mangyari, kahit tumaas yung rice, wala tayong choice, bibili pa rin tayo niyan. Inelastic yung tawag doon. What else? Electricity. Wala namang close substitutes yung electricity. Hindi naman basta magtaas si Meralco, hindi ka gagamit ng electricity, gagamit ka pa rin yan. So kahit anong mangyari, tumaas yan, gagamit pa rin tayo yan. Ano pa? Cigarettes. Yung mga addict sa cigarettes. Ayan. Kahit tumaas yan, bibili pa rin yung mga tao ng cigarettes. Okay? Now class, para ma-visualize yan, ganito yan. For example, tumaas yung price ng 10%. Okay? Pag sinabing more than 1, yung bababa sa demand mo is more than 10%. For example, 15%. Parang ganun. So, mas mataas, pag elastic, mas mataas yung magiging bawas sa demand mo kaysa dun sa increase ng price. Pag sinabi mong inelastic, tumaas ng 10%, sabihin natin, bababa lang ng 5% yung demand mo. Ang tawag na doon, inelastic. Pag sinabi mong unitary elastic, kung ano yung change sa price, ganun din yung change sa demand. So, dito, 10% din yan. Okay? Ang usually common example dito yung mga gadgets or yung mga electronic products. So, mga electronic products, mga cellphones, laptops, usually class, historically, pag nag-increase ng 10% yan, or kung ano mang percentage, yung price niyan, yung demand yan, sakto din na bumababa ng 10%. Okay, ulitin ko. Pag sabing elasticity, tatlo yan. Elastic, inelastic, and unitary elastic. Okay? Pag elastic, sensitive yan. Example mo dyan, mga luxuries at yung may mga close substitutes. Pag inelastic, hindi yan sensitive. Okay? Necessities and no close substitutes yung example mo dyan. Now class, merong extreme na inelastic. Ang tawag doon, perfectly inelastic. Ano ibig sabihin ng class? Pag tumaas yung price, walang magbabago sa demand. Okay? Ang example ng perfectly inelastic class is, for example, insulin. Ayan, tumaas yung price ng insulin. Tapos diabetic ka. Pag diabetic ka, kahit anong mangyari sa insulin, tumaas kahit gano'ng kataas yung price niyan, bibili at bibili ka niyan. Because yung health mo yung masasacrifice yan. Ang tawag doon, pag tumaas yung price, walang change in demand. Yun yung extreme case ng inelastic. Ang tawag doon is perfectly inelastic. Ngayon, meron din yan tinatawag na perfectly elastic. Ano naman yan, sir? Pag naman tumaas yung price, well, wala na magde-demand sa'yo. Ito, opposite ito. Pag tumaas yung price, ganun pa rin yung demand. Pag perfectly elastic, pag tumaas yung price, wala na magde-demand sa'yo. Ano example niyan? For example, meron tayong seller 1 and seller 2. Magkatabi sila, no? Nagbebenta sila ng gold. Okay, gold. Ngayon, ang price ng gold, for example, is 3,000 per gram. Okay, 3K per gram. Dapat yan lang yun yung price ng gold nila. Ngayon, si seller 2, tinaasan niya. Ginawa niyang 4,000 per gram. Tayo, saan tayo bibili? Seller 1, seller 2. Obviously, kay seller 1. Wala na magde-demand kay seller 2. Kahit isa, walang pupunta dyan. Kasi gold yan eh. Okay? Doon ka, dapat yan, 3,000 lang. Pag si seller 2 nag-increase, lahat tayo punta kay seller 1. Ang tawag doon, perfectly elastic. Pag tinaas yung price, wala na magde-demand sa'yo, perfectly elastic. Pag tinaas yung price, ganun pa rin, same pa rin yung demand, perfectly inelastic. Last one. Okay? Last one tayo sa demand class. Medyo maraming concepts, pero pag naman naalala mo yung examples natin, madali siyang maintindihan. Okay? Last one. Ito, lumabas kayo sa board exam to, so gusto ko lang i-highlight, no? Meron tinatawag tayo class na, meron tayong tinatawag na sa demand curve natin, meron tinatawag tayo na movement, okay, movement along the demand curve, and may tinatawag tayo na shift in demand. Magkaiba yung class, okay? Pag sinabi mo movement along the demand curve, laging because of price lang yan, okay? Pag shift in demand, other factors yung pinag-uusapan natin dyan. Sir, ano ibig sabihin mo dyan? Tumahan tayo class, yung movement along the demand curve, ito lang ibig sabihin yan. Pag tumaas yung price from 10 to 20, okay, bababa yung demand natin from 4 to 3. Pag tumaas from 20 to 30, bababa from 3 to 2. Ang tawag mo doon, movement, nag-move yung demand natin. Nandun lang siya. Okay? Pag sinabi mong shift, okay, tataas ngayon yung demand curve natin, mapupunta dun. Okay? Pupunta dun. Ano yung example niyan? Maganda example niyang class, nung start ng pandemic, yung face mask. Okay? Yung face mask dati, for example, 50 pesos yan. No? 50 pesos. Pero since sumobrang dami yung nagka-pandemic, dumami yung demand mo. Same price pa rin, 50 pesos, pero dumami yung demand. Okay? Ang tawag mo nun, shift in demand. Ulitin ko class. Pag movement along the demand curve, yung price mo, it's either nag-i-increase or nag-decrease. Nag-move siya dito. Okay? Pag shift, tumataas na ganun. Alright? For example, ito yung presyo dati ng face mask. Bigla nagka-pandemic. Yung demand mo, tumataas. Instead na isa lang yung bibili sa'yo, dalawa na yung bibili sa'yo. Hindi nag-iba yung price, pero tumaas yung demand mo. Okay, ulitin ko. Last one. Pag movement, tumaas yung price, baba yung demand. Shift in demand, same price. Okay? Pero may other factors. Example natin yung sa pandemic. Same price, pero tumaas yung demand mo. Alright? Shift in demand. Okay. So, ayan. That's for your demand. Doon naman tayo sa supply. Supply is from the point of view of the seller. Okay? So, ulitin ko. Meron tayong market, meron tayong buyer, which is the demand. We have the seller, which is for the supply. Ito naman yung tinatawag na supply curve. Okay? Ito yung price, ito yung quantity supplied. Alright? So now, opposite naman sila class. Mapansin mo dito sa demand, pag ganun yung graph mo. Alright? Dito naman sa supply, pag ganyan. So according to the law of supply, as the price increases, the supply for that product it also increases. So meron silang direct relationship. Alright? Now, example ko class, ganito. Let's say, para mas ma-visualize natin, let's say nagbebenta ako ng appliances. No? Appliances. Ang binibenta ko, TV and laptop. Ayan. TV and laptop. And let's say every day, may bili sa atin na 10 units. 10 units na TV or 10 units na laptop. Right? O basta 10 units, may 10 tayo na customers per day. Ngayon, biglang tumaas yung price ng TV sa market. Tumaas yung price. Dito. Tingin mo ano yung mas ipoproduce mo pag ikaw si seller, TV or laptop? TV yung ipoproduce mo kasi mas mataas yung price. Tama? Pag mas mataas yung price, mas mataas yung revenue mo, mas mataas yung profit mo. Assuming, 10 pa rin yung bibili sa'yo per day. Okay? Other things remaining constant. I think yung term sa economics, ceteris paribus yata ang term doon. Assuming other things are constant, 10 pa rin ang bibili, tumaas yung price ng TV, ako, mas ipoproduce ko yung TV. Okay? Kasi mas mataas yung profit mo doon. So, according to the law of supply, as the price increases, the supply for that product also increases. Alright? Now, kung sa demand, ang tawag mo doon is downward sloping. Sa supply naman class, ang tawag mo dyan is upward sloping. Opposite naman, upward naman siya. Meron tayong 2 reasons kung bakit upward sloping. Number 1, because of the number of sellers. Okay? As the number of sellers increases or increase, the supply increases. Okay? As the number of sellers increase, the supply increases. Ano example yan, sir? For example, class, dati, ang nagpo-produce ng cellphone, for example, Apple and Samsung, majority sila lang. Ngayon, dumami na. Meron ng Oppo, meron ng Vivo, meron ng Realme, o ano man, marami ng brand yun ng cellphone. Okay? Habang dumadami yung suppliers mo, mas dumadami yung supply ng cellphones. Gets? Kaya siya upward sloping. Next, second reason is because of closely related goods. Ano yung closely related goods? Na-discuss natin yan kanina, yung substitutes and complementary. Okay? So, substitutes class, the sellers will produce goods with higher returns. With higher returns. Okay? or higher income. Actually, nagbigay natin yung example kanina. Nagbebenta tayo ng mga appliances. Si TV, tumaas yung price. Si laptop, same yung price. Okay? 10 pa rin yung bibili sa atin per day. Sa 10 units pa rin. Ang ipoproduce ko TV. Bakit, sir? Mas mataas yung price. Mas mataas yung revenues mo, mas mataas yung profits, mas mataas yung returns. Ang tawag doon, substitutes. Okay? Pwede mo substitute sa TV sa laptop. Next, complementary. Okay, complementary goods. If the price of a complementary increases, the supply increases. Okay? Ano yung ibig sabihin yan, sir? Ang kanina, ito yung, for example, class, ang magandang example nito is ink. Tumaas yung price ng ink. Yung ginagamit sa marker. Okay? Tumaas yung price ng ink, gumagamit sa marker. Ngayon, class, pag tumaas yung price ng ink, ano mangyayari sa price ng marker? Tataas din yan. Okay? Obviously, tataas yan. Bakit? Siyempre, kailangan mo itaas yan para ma-recover mo yung taas ng ink. Kasi input yung ink, raw materials mo yan ito, tama? Now, pag tumaas yung price ng ink, tataas yung price ng marker. Assuming all other things constant, same pa rin yung binibili sa atin. For example, 10 units pa rin yung binibili sa atin per day, mas mataas yung supply sa marker. Okay? Because mas mataas yung supply, mas mataas yung price, mas mataas yung profit mo, therefore, mas maganda i-supply yung product na yun. Okay? Isipin mo lang class, pag law of supply, para mas madali siya intindihin, pag tumaas yung price, mas gusto mo i-produce yun. Kasi mas mataas yung profit mo doon. Mas mataas yung revenue, yung markup, yung profit mo. Okay? So, substitutes and complements. Now, kung sa demand, meron ka tinatawag na law of diminishing marginal utility. Sa supply naman, meron tayong tinatawag na law of diminishing returns. Okay? Ano sir yung law of diminishing returns? As you, okay, additional inputs, adding an additional input, sulat mo muna, and then I'll give you an example. Adding an additional input results in a smaller increase in output. Okay? So, ito yung counterpart ng law of diminishing marginal utility. Sa supply, may tinatawag tayong law of diminishing returns. Adding an additional input results in a smaller increase in output. Input and output. Ano yung example niyan? For example, class, meron tayong, nagpo-produce tayo ng marker. Okay? Meron tayong worker. Nag-hire tayo ng worker. Now, yung worker natin, for the first 10 hours, ang napoproduce niya is 5 units na marker. Okay, first 10 hours. So, first hour, 5 units. Second hour, 5 units. So, 5 units per hour siya. Okay? Kaya lang, pag dumating yung 11th hour, ang napoproduce na lang niya, 4 units per hour. Bakit, sir, ganun? Siyempre, baka yung worker natin, napagod na. Okay? Hindi na makapag-focus. So, ibig sabihin, kahit magdagdag tayo ng additional input, magdagdag ka ng number of hours, tataas pa rin yung output mo, pero smaller increase na lang. From 5 units, nagiging 4 units. Alright? So, maganda example niyan because syempre napapagod din yung worker mo. Hindi naman parang robot yan na 100% lagi yung effort niya. Okay? So, law of diminishing returns. Okay, now, lapit na class tayo matapos. Elasticity, meron din yan. Kung meron ka elasticity of demand, meron ka din sa supply. So, ganun din yan. Pag more than 1, ang tawag mo dyan, elastic. Pag equal to 1, unitary elastic. And pag pag less than 1, inelastic. Ano ulit yung pag sinabi mo elasticity? Elasticity, sensitivity to price changes. So dito, change in demand over change in price. Dito naman, change in supply over change in price. Okay? Huwag natin, same concept lang yan. So, huwag natin masyado yung i-discuss. Okay? Now, ito important to class. No? In economics, in microeconomics, di-differentiate dyan class yung short run supply versus long run. Short run versus long run. Para mas ma-imagine mo yan, imagine mo yung timeline na to. Okay, nag-start tayo ng business. So dito, let's say 1 to 5 years. Dito, 5 years onwards, 6 onwards. Yung 1 to 5 years, ang tawag natin dyan, short run. Okay? Yung 6 onwards, yan yung long run supply. Short run supply, long run supply. According to economics, sa short run daw, yung cost natin of a business are variable and fixed. So, alam natin yan, in MS, variable and fixed. Let's say, may isa lang tayong factory. May isa lang tayong factory sa short run kasi kaka-start pa natin ng business. Right? Ang rule dito, class, is sa short run pinag-uusapan natin, nilipat yung factory dito sa gilid. Sa short run, ang rule dito, we produce as long as the price is equal to marginal cost. Sulat mo muna. Sabi dyan, sa short run, supply, kaka-start pa ng business natin or first few years ng business. Variable and fixed yung cost natin. Ang rule dito, magpo-produce ka daw ng units or magsusupply ka as long as your price is equal to marginal cost. Ano ibig sabihin nun, sir? Ano ibig sabihin ng marginal? Additional. Sa MS, alam natin, ano ba yung additional cost mo pag nagpo-produce ka? Variable cost. Okay? So, pag sabi marginal cost, yan din yung variable cost mo. So, sabi dyan, mag-produce ka hanggang yung price mo maging equal sa variable cost. Tama ba, class? Yung price is the selling price. Minus variable cost, you have contribution margin. Okay? So, ganito yan. Ibig sabihin, class, sabi dyan sa short run supply, magpo-produce ka daw until yung price mo maging equal sa marginal cost. For example, yung marginal cost natin or variable cost mo is 10. Ang selling price mo is 50. Okay? 50 yung selling price, 10 yung marginal cost or variable cost. From this point up to this point, mag-produce ka na mag-produce. Hanggang yung price mo, bumaba na dun sa variable cost mo. Ibig sabihin, mag-produce ka, dito positive yung contribution margin mo, dito magsi-zero na siya. Alright? So, ang point na niyang class is, hanggang kailan ka magpo-produce sa short run? Magpo-produce ka as long as positive yung contribution margin mo. Okay? Or mag-zero yung contribution margin mo. Alright? Pag negative na yan, huwag ka na mag-produce. Parang ganun. Okay, so tandaan mo lang, ito yung rule natin. Sa short run, mag-produce ka until yung price mo is equal to marginal cost. Okay? Marginal cost is also your variable cost. Therefore, selling price minus variable cost, your contribution margin. Produce ka until yung selling price mo mag-equal sa, or yung contribution margin mo mag-zero. Okay? Now, sabi diyang class, sa long run supply naman, nagiging established na yung business natin. Alright? So, nagiging successful na yung business natin. Madali na sa atin magdagdag ng mga factory. Okay? Nasa initiative na natin yan. Noong short run, wala pa kasi hindi pa successful yung business yan. Pero sa long run, mas madali na sa atin mag-put up ng additional factory. Therefore, yung cost natin in the long run, variable na lang yan. Hindi na variable and fixed. Most variable na lang yung cost natin. Right? Yun yung sinasabi sa long run supply. Now, sa long run supply class, since nagiging established na yung business, may technology na tayo, na perfect na natin yung process, meron tayong tinatawag dyan na economies of scale. Pag sinabi mo economies of scale, yung average cost, easy na lang, of a business, decreases. Bumababa na yung average cost mo. Bakit sir? Kasi nagiging efficient na yung operations mo. Mas nagpo-produce ka ng output, mas nasusulit mo siya. Parang ganun. Mataas yung production, mababa yung cost mo, average cost mo, bumababa. Ang sabi dyan, sa long run, in the long term, okay, yung average cost ng isang business, bababa siya. Ang tawag doon, ka-achieve tayo ng economies of scale. Alright, sige. Now, last one. Sa microeconomics, last one na. So medyo mahaba-haba yung konti yung discussion natin, but sa macro, mabilis na lang class, ha? Okay, now, demand, supply. Pag pinagsama mo siya, ito siya. Ito yung demand, ito yung supply. Tama? May price siya na mag-meet sila. Ang tawag dyan, equilibrium price. Isipin mo yung equilibrium price na yung class. Iyan yung perfect price or optimal price. Sa example natin, ano yung price na yan? 30 pesos. Okay? Kung saan nagmi-meet yung demand and supply, ang tawag dyan equilibrium price. Iyan yung price that the buyer is willing to pay. Iyan yung price that the seller is willing to sell. Okay? Kaya yan tinatawag natin na perfect or optimal price. Iyan yung ideal natin. Ngayon, pag yung price mo nasa taas ng equilibrium, let's say 40. Okay? So 40. Ibig sabihin yung class, meron kang surplus. Bakit surplus? Kasi at 40, mas mataas yung supply mo kaysa sa demand. Mas mataas yung supply kaysa sa demand. Meron kang surplus. Mas marami yung goods dyan kaysa sa bumibili sa'yo. Mas marami yung goods na available kaysa yung bumibili sa'yo. Ang tawag doon surplus. Pag dito mo sinet yung price, above the equilibrium price, ang tawag dyan class, price ceiling. Okay? FYI na lang ha. Price ceiling. Pag sa baba naman ng equilibrium price, let's say sa 20, mas mataas naman si demand kaysa sa supply. Shortage naman yan. Mas maraming nagde-demand kaysa dun sa available na products. Ang tawag dito, this is your price floor. Okay? So FYI, minsan tinatanong yung mga terms na ganyan. Last one. Punta tayo dito sa market structure. Sabi ko kanina class, sa start ng discussion natin, meron tayong market, meron tayong buyer and may seller. Okay na tayo kay buyer, yan yung demand. Ito, ang dami natin discuss yan. Okay na tayo kay seller, yan yung supply. Doon naman tayo kay market. Example natin kanina ng market SM. Okay? Para lang to simplify. But, meron talaga tayong 4 na market structures. 4 market structures. Number 1, may tinatawag tayong perfect or pure competition. Sulat mo muna. We have monopolistic competition. Monopolistic competition. Next natin is oligopoly. And last one is monopoly. May mga examples tayo class later para mas madali yung maintindihan. Doon muna tayo sa perfect competition. Ito yung pinaka-competitive ng market. Okay? Maraming sellers. Large number of sellers. Yung product dyan class, identical. No? Magkakamuka. Control sa price, wala. Hindi mo pwede makontrol yung price. Anong magandang example dyan? Punta ka ng Divisoria. O, yan. Divisoria, punta ka doon. Dami sellers doon, di ba? Let's say, bibili ka ng cellphone case. Okay? Now, yung mapapansin mo class, yung mga sellers doon, magkamukha yung presyo. For example, 100 pesos yung cellphone case. Pag yung isang seller doon, tinaas niya yung price na 120, walang bibili sa kanya. Okay? Ang tawag doon, perfect competition. Okay? Yung market sa perfect competition, price taker sila. Ano ibig sabihin ng price taker? Well, hindi sila pwede mag-dictate ng price. Kung ano yung price doon, 100, yun lang yung pwede nilang ibenta. Pag nagbenta ka ng 120 dyan, lilipat sila sa ibang sellers. Okay? In theory, pwede na mag-set ng price at equilibrium price. Parang ganun. Kung ano yung willing si customer na ibayad sa'yo, yun lang yung pwede mong i-charge na price. Ang tawag doon, pure competition or perfect competition, yun yung pinaka-competitive. Sobrang daming sellers na magkukamukha ang ibebenta. Tandaan mo lang dyan, pag perfect competition, Divisoria. Pili ka cellphone case, maraming sellers dyan. Magkakamukha presyo niyan. Okay? Hindi pwedeng tumaas yung presyo niyan. Kasi pag tumaas yung isa, hindi ka bibili dyan, dun ka sa iba. Gets? Okay. Monopolistic competition. Marami din naman sellers dyan, pero mas konti compared to the perfect competition. Many. Okay? Products natin dyan is differentiated. Control, limited control. Ang maganda example dito class yung mga fast food. Okay? Jollibee, McDonald's. Ayan, McDonald's. Ngayon, si Jollibee and McDonald's, mga fast food chains, so Burger King, Pizza Hut, yung mga ganyan, kahit pa paano may konti silang control sa price. Konti lang. The price to, control sa price. Konti lang. For example, in-increase nila yung burger nila ng 5 pesos. Kahit may magde-demand pa rin, no? May bibili pa rin sa kanila. Unlike yung perfect competition, taas mo lang ng konti, walang bibili sa'yo dyan. May bibili pa rin, no? Pero pag sobrang tinaas mo, let's say yung burger, tinaas mo ng 20 pesos, increase by 20 pesos, lilipat yung iba sa McDonald's or sa Burger King. Parang ganun. Okay? Ang tawag mo doon, monopolistic competition. Hindi siya sobrang competitive unlike perfect competition. May konting control sa price, pero pag sobrang tinaas mo yung price, lilipat sila sa iba. Okay? Next, oligopoly. Number of sellers, few. Konti lang. Unique yung product. And then, huge yung control sa price. Kayang-kaya lang i-control yung price niyan. Ang example, ang magandang example ng oligopoly class, PLDT and Globe. Okay, ano pa? Shell and Petron. Ayan. Bakit? Well, sino ba nagpo-provide ng cellphone services sa atin? PLDT and Globe lang. Sila, kayang-kaya nilang increase yung price natin. Okay? Yung Shell and Petron, kayang-kaya lang i-increase yung price ng gas. Well, syempre may mga batas yan against that. But the point is, konti lang yung players, kayang-kaya na lang, usually mga nag-uusap-usap yan eh. Shell and Petron, mapapansin mo magkakalapit yung presyo nila. Kasi nag-uusap-usap yan. Nag-agree sila sa price, yun yung charge na sa customer. Ang tawag ng oligopoly, meron silang huge control sa price. And konti lang yung players yan. Very few. Sa phones, PLDT and Globe. Sa gas, Shell and Petron. Doon may mga small players, but sila yung talaga major players. Gets? Okay, ulitin ko. Tandaan mo to class, tatandaan lang iyan at yung examples natin. Alright? Monopoly, number of sellers, 1. Product natin dyan is standardized pala to. Is unique. Okay? And then, standardized yung kanina. Control, huge. Ang pinakamagandang example ng monopoly sa Pilipinas is Meralco. Wala namang kalaban si Meralco. Tama? Kahit anong gawin niya sa price ng electricity, itaas niya yung kilowatt per hour natin dyan, yung price mo. Huge yan. Huge yung control niya sa price, wala tayong magagawa. Okay? Bibili pa rin tayo or magkukonsume pa rin tayo ng electricity. Ang tawag doon, monopoly. Pag narinig mo yung monopoly, Meralco. Okay? Oligopoly, PLDT Globe. Monopolistic competition, fast food. Perfect competition, Divisoria. Okay. Ayan, so that's your market. Alright, so syempre yung mga online market din. Physical market yung example natin. Online market, Shopee, Lazada, yung mga ganyan. Online market yan. Okay, sige, ganito gawin natin class. Sagutan muna natin yung handout sa microeconomics para later ma-erase na natin yan. Apply muna natin yung mga pinag-usapan natin. Let's go to number 1. Microeconomics number 1. When markets are perfectly competitive, perfect competition, consumers, A, are able to avoid the problem of diminishing returns. Hindi. Lahat ng businesses class, may experience ng diminishing returns. Ayan. As you add inputs, hindi laging constant yung output mo. Mag-increase yung output, pero smaller increase na lang yan. Mali yan. Hindi yan ma-avoid. B, have goods and services produced at the lowest cost in the long run. Yan yung correct answer. Boy yan. Bakit, sir? Ano example natin ng perfect competition? Divisoria. May 10 sellers dyan ng cellphone cases. Alright? Now, price taker sila. Kung ano yung willing tayo bayad, 100 pesos, yun lang pwede nilang i-charge. Tama? Paano sila magpa-profit? Para mag-profit sila, kailangan ma-produce nila yung cellphone case na yun at a lower cost para may margin sila. Okay? Para may income sila. So kaya sabi dyan, have goods and services produced at the lowest cost. Since price taker sila, 100 lang yung limit ng price, yung cost na lang ang babaan nila para may profit sila. Gets? Okay, boy, sagot yan. C, do not receive any consumer surplus. Letter D, must search for the lowest price. Hindi, price taker nga sila. Same price lang for everyone. Okay? Boy for number 1. Number 2, compare with firms in a perfectly competitive market. A monopoly, Meralco, tends to, tingnan natin, A, produce substantially less but charge a higher price. Ayan, totoo yan. So, monopoly, okay? Mas mataas yung price, okay? Mas konti ipoproduce niya kasi kaya niya. Wala ka naman substitute eh. Pag walang Meralco, saan ka pupunta? Saan ka pupunta ng electricity? Wala, Meralco lang. Okay? So, well, ayan. So, produce substantially less but charge a higher price. A yung sagot natin dyan. B, produce substantially more, charge a higher price, produce the same output. Letter A yan. Kasi wala tayong substitute kapag monopoly. Isa lang ang player dyan. Isa lang ang market player. A for number 2. Number 3, the distinguishing characteristic of an oligopoly. Sabi niyo, sir, pag oligopoly, PLDT Globe, Shell Petron. Tingnan natin yung A and B. A and B, single seller. Mali na. Pag single seller, monopoly yun. Mali na A and B. Letter C, lack of entry and exit in the industry. Technically, mali yan. Lack of entry, ibig sabihin yan, hindi mo pwedeng kalabanin. Pwedeng kalabanin yan. Kung maalala nyo si Dito, yung Dito Telecom, di ba ina-attempt niyang kalabanin si PLDT and Globe? O, pwede pa rin yan, alright? Letter D yung sagot dyan. Mutual interdependence of firm pricing and output decisions. Si PLDT and Globe, especially Shell and Petron, nag-uusap talaga yan, okay? Nag-uusap-usap sila ng price, yun yung charge na sa customer, kaya hindi pwede magkakalayo yung price nila, okay? So, letter D, mutual interdependence of firm pricing and output decisions. Yan yung oligopoly. Number 4, monopolistic competition is characterized by large group of sellers, well, many or large, pareho sila, pero mas konti yung monopolistic competition class kaysa sa perfect competition, ha? Okay. Who produce differentiated products? Ang magandang example niyan, mga fast food. Ayan, letter A yung sagot nating class. Alright, letter A for number 4. Number 5, the demand curve for a normal good is, letter A, letter B, upward sloping. Mali na yun. Upward sloping supply yun, hindi yan demand. C, vertical. Mali yan. D ang sagot natin, downward sloping. Downward sloping demand curve. Bakit? Substitution effect and income effect. Letter D, downward sloping because of the income and substitution effects. Number 6, the movement along the demand curve from one quantity combination to another. Ano ibig sabihin ng movement along the demand curve? Pag yung price mo bumaba or tumaas, yung demand mo nagbabago. Alright? Dun, yung term dito class, huwag mo isasagot yung B, yung shift in the demand. Iba yung shift in demand. Walang change sa price mo pero tataas or bababa yung demand mo, yung shift in demand. Pag movement along the demand curve from one price quantity, ang term natin dyan class is letter C. Change in quantity demanded. Ito yung term talaga class na ginagamit, ha? Quantity demanded. Letter C for number 6. Number 7, which of the following would cause the demand curve for a normal good to shift to the left? Okay. Class, pag yung demand mo punta sa left, ano ibig sabihin nun? Yung demand mo, punta ng left, tama ba? Ibig sabihin, decrease in demand. Alin daw dito yung magdi-decrease in demand? Basically, yun yung question. Letter A. So, ito yung question, ha? Lagay ko dito. Kailan daw magdi-decrease yung demand? Ayan. Letter A. A rise in the price of a substitute product. Ano ulit yung substitute? Kanina example natin, chicken and pork. Okay? Pag tumaas yung price ng chicken, taas yung price ng chicken, ano mangyayari sa demand para sa pork? Pag tumaas yung price ng chicken, tataas yung demand para sa pork. Does that make sense? Kasi pag tumaas yung price ng chicken, konti bibili ng chicken. Maraming bibili ng pork. O mali na, ito yung tinatanong increase in demand yung sagot mo dyan. Alright, mali yung A. Letter B, a rise in average household income. Pag tumaas yung income, tataas yung demand mo. Ano yung example natin kanina? Tumaas yung income natin. Nasaan yun? Ito. Tumaas yung income mo, mas bumibili ka ng Starbucks. Okay? So, taas yung demand. Mali, kasi ang tanong dito, decrease in demand. Letter C, a rise in the price of a complementary commodity. Ano yung complementary? Example natin, sugar tsaka Coke. Tumaas yung price ng sugar. Tumaas yung price ng sugar, and then, ano mangyayari dyan? So, a rise in the price, analyze natin. Tumaas yung rise ng sugar, tataas yung price ng Coke. Kasi ginagamit niya yung sugar para bumaba yung... So, tataas yung price ng Coke, bababa yung demand sa Coke. Does that make sense? Tumaas yung price ng sugar, tataas yung price ng Coke. Pag tumaas yung price ng Coke, mas konti bibili sa atin. Bababa yung demand. Answer natin class, letter C. Okay? Tignan natin yung dog. A change in consumer's taste in favor of the commodity. A change in consumer's taste in favor of the commodity. So, ibig sabihin, mas gusto natin consumer's taste. For example, ang gusto ng mga consumer, mas mag-consume siya ng chicken compared sa pork. Okay? So, it means, mas tataas yung demand sa chicken. Taas yung demand. Ang tanong sa'yo is decrease in demand. So, letter C yung sagot natin yan. For number 7, it's letter C. Number 8, if a group of customers decide to boycott a particular product, ano yung boycott? Hindi ka bibili. Okay? The expected result would be, tingnan natin. A, an increase in the product price to make up lost revenue. Yung sagot dyan. A decrease in demand. Nag-boycott kayo tama? Hindi kayo bibili. Nag-decide kayo as a group na hindi kayo bibili. Therefore, meron decrease in demand. Letter B na agad yung sagot mo dyan. Number 9, all of the following are complementary. Pag sabi mong complementary, ano tawag doon class? Yun yung related goods. Okay, related. Ano yung complementary dito? Margarine and butter, hindi. Substitute yan. Okay? Pwede gumamit ng margarine or butter. Yung cameras and rolls of film, DVDs and DVD players, razors and razor blades, complementary yung B, C, and D na yan. Okay? Related goods sila. Except A yung sagot mo. A is a substitute good. Okay? Number 10, a decrease in the price of a complementary good. Okay, analyze natin. Pag daw bumaba yung price ng complementary good, okay, a decrease in the price will, tingnan natin class ha, ano mangyayari sa demand mo? Pag tumaas yung price ng complementary, if the price of a complementary increases, ano mangyayari sa demand mo? The demand will, hindi natin. A decrease pala. Pag nag-decrease yung price, okay, for example, bumaba yung price ng sugar natin, okay? Ano mangyayari sa demand sa Coke natin? Bumaba yung sugar, bumaba yung price ng Coke. Tama? Tataas yung demand mo sa Coke. Alright? So, answer mo dyan, letter D, shift the demand to the right. Kasi pag nag-right ka, di ba, pag nag-right yan, tumataas yung demand. Okay? Pag left, bumaba yung demand. So, increase yung demand, letter dog yung sagot mo dyan. Okay, number 11. The local video store's business increased by 12%. Eh, wala nang local video store ngayon. For example, Netflix yan, okay? Netflix increased by 12% after the movie theater raises its prices from 6.5 to 7. This is an example of, okay, so magkalaban, no? Netflix and cinema, okay? Yung cinema or yung movie theater, tinaas niya yung price niya. Ngayon, ang ginawa ng mga tao, lumipat sa Netflix by 12%. Anong tawag natin dyan? A yung sagot dyan. Substitute. Okay? Tinaas mo yung price, parang kanina, chicken and pork. Tinaas mo yung chicken, tataas yung demand doon sa pork. Tinaas mo yung price ng chicken, yes, tataas yung demand sa pork. Tinaas mo dito, tinaas mo yung price sa movie theater, tataas yung demand sa Netflix. Okay? Lilipat sila sa Netflix, basically. Okay, number 12. So for 11 is letter A. Number 12. A family typically eats hamburger as a staple in their diet. In the last years, the family's income has doubled, and they have now replaced hamburger with steak. This is an example of, ano yan? Yung hamburger, inferior good yun. Tumaas yung income mo, mas kumonti na yung demand mo sa hamburger. Kanina, example natin, 3-in-1. Okay? Yung steak naman dito, ang tawag dyan, normal good. Okay? Tumaas yung income mo, normally, iyan yung binibili mo. Ayun. Ang ginawa ng family dito, bumili na sila ng steak. So, in this case, the steak is an example of a normal good. The hamburger is an example of inferior good. Okay? Letter dog. Number 13, if a diabetic must have insulin no matter what the cost, the diabetic's demand is considered to be, actually, ginawa natin example kayo na ito. Saan yan? Yun. Kahit ano mangyari, tumaas yung price ng insulin, kahit ano mangyari dyan, bibili mo pa rin yan if diabetic ka. Perfectly inelastic. Letter, boy, B. Ano yung perfectly elastic naman? Pag sa'yo yung perfectly elastic, pag tinaas mo yung price, wala kahit isang bibili sa'yo. Pag perfectly inelastic, tinaas mo yung price, same. Ganun pa rin karami yung demand mo. Okay? Boy, sagot mo dyan. Number 14, if the price elasticity demand for a normal good is 2.5, a 5% reduction in price causes, okay, yung price elasticity daw 2.5, kasi more than 1 yan. Elastic, okay, more than 1, 2.5 eh. Okay, so pag nag-reduce ng 5%, ganito lang yan. 5%, yung na-reduce ng price mo, okay, and then 2.5 yung elasticity, 5% times 2.5 is 12.5%. Ang nangyari dyan, class, bumaba yung price, tataas yung demand. How big is the increase in demand? Ayun, tataas siya ng 12.5%. Letter C, quantity demanded to rise by 12.5%. Number 15, a supply curve illustrates the relationship between supply curve, price, and quantity supplied. Letter A for number 15. Number 16, an improvement in technology that in turn leads to improved worker productivity would most likely result in, okay, pag nag-improve yung technology class, yung supply curve mo, mag-shift siya to the right. Bakit, sir? Pag nag-improve yung technology, mas marami tayong production. Mas marami tayong napoproduce kasi machineries or robots na ginagamit mo dyan. Alright, letter A yung sagot. A shift to the right, same price, pero mas marami ka na napoproduce. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng shift to the right ng supply curve because of technology. Okay? A shift to the right and lowering of the price of the output. Ngayon, pag mas nagpo-produce ka ng outputs, mas marami ka ng supply, pwede mo nang babaan yung price mo na ibibenta mo sa customer. Alright? Yun yung effect ng technology sa supply curve natin. Letter A. Number 17, in the short run, okay, the supply curve in a competitive market shows a positive relationship between price and quantity because of the law of diminishing returns. Explain ko na yan. Boy yung sagot mo dyan. Sa short run, okay, sa short run, yan, law of diminishing returns. Okay, because yung may fixed cost ka dyan. Okay, may variable and fixed ka dyan. Yung fixed cost mo, na isa lang yung factory mo, yung example natin kanina, pwede mo i-utilize yan. No? Pero since isa lang yung factory mo, limited yung pwede mo i-produce dyan. Law of diminishing returns. Letter B yung sagot mo dyan. In the long run, mas naging successful na yung business, okay, pwede ka na magtayo ng additional factories, makaka-achieve ka naman ng economies of scale. So, short run, law of diminishing returns. Long run, economies of scale. Boy for number 17. Number 18, in a competitive market for labor in which demand is stable, if workers try to increase their wage, okay, demand tayo. Okay, i-visualize mo lang to. Yung demand curve natin. Yung demand dito, class, is their, ayan, sa labor. Demand for labor. If the workers try to increase their wage, ano yung wage? Ayun yung price. Pag gusto ng laborers itaas yung price nila, ano mangyayari sa demand curve natin? Bababa yung demand mo. Kasi inversely related sila, tama? Gusto nila increase yung wages o gusto nila increase yung price, bababa yung demand sa kanila. Okay? Letter A yung sagot mo. Employment must fall. Alright? Tanda mo lang, sa demand, law of demand. Pag tumaas yung price, bababa yung demand sa'yo. In this case, gusto nila itaas yung wage, which is the price. Price nila, okay? Bababa yung demand sa kanila. Employment must fall, alright? 19, the law of diminishing marginal utility. Uy, example ni sir dito yung buffet, sa Vikings. So, nag-buffet ka sa Vikings. Letter A yan. Marginal utility, ano ibig sabihin ng marginal? Additional. Pag sabi mo utility, ibig sabihin yan satisfaction. Additional satisfaction will decline as a consumer acquires additional units of a specific product. A for number 19. Number 20, marginal revenue. Okay. So, FYI na lang yan. Pag sinabi mo marginal, additional revenue. Okay? Di ba kayo na may marginal cost ka? Tama? Variable cost yun. Tama? Pag sinabi mo marginal revenue, edi sa selling price naman yun. Letter dog, the change in total revenue associated with producing and selling one more unit. Okay? Increase in revenue, marginal revenue yan. Pag increase in cost, marginal cost ang tawag doon. Okay? Letter D. Okay, may konting computation tayo. Madali lang naman to. Number 21, consider the following. Number of workers, total units produced, and average selling price. What is the marginal revenue daw? So, class, ito lang. I-raise ko na yan. What is the marginal revenue per unit if one worker is added to a team of 11 workers? So, madali lang yan. So, 11 gagawin 12, tama? Yung number of units, sa 11, tama ba 25 units yung nakalagay sa table natin? Sa 12, 28 units naman yan, tama? Average selling price, sa 11 units, 49 yung selling price. Sa workers. Sa 12 workers, 47.5 yung selling price. Okay? So, ayan. Ginamit ko lang yung table. Question dyan is the marginal revenue per unit if one worker is added to a team of 11 workers. So, 11 daw ginawa natin 12. O, paano ba compute yung revenue? O, alam natin yan. Units times selling price. So, multiply mo yan. 25 times 49. Ano yung sagot mo dyan? 25 times 49, 1225. 28 times 47.5, 1330. Okay? Yung revenue mo nung first, 1225. Nag-increase ng 1330. Ibig sabihin, nag-increase siya ng 105. Increase by 105. Pero take note class, hindi yan yung sagot mo. Kasi sabi, marginal revenue per unit. Nag-increase, yung total increase mo, 105. Ilang units siya na nadagdag? From 25, naging 28. Ibig sabihin, 3 units yung nadagdag. 105 divided by 3, total yung 105. Paano mo gagawin per unit? Divide sa number of units. Divide by 3, you get 35. Answer mo dyan, letter A. Marginal revenue is 35. Number 22, 2 items na lang sa microeconomics. The output of and cost information of a firm is presented below. The marginal cost of the second unit of output. Okay. So, tingnan natin class. Pag sabing marginal cost, additional cost. Yun lang yan. Pag sabing marginal revenue, additional revenue. Tingnan natin. Second unit of output, tama? So, punta ka dun sa output 1 and output 2. Alright? And tingin ka dun sa total cost. Alright? So, class, pag marginal cost yung pinag-uusapan, doon sabi ko kanyan dito, variable cost talaga yan. Pag sinabing marginal cost at given sa yung total cost ang gagamitin mo. Kasi ang assumption dun is may fixed cost component din na sa short run ka. Parang ganun. Anyway, so parang di ka malito, punta ka sa total cost. Pag doon nag-produce tayo ng second unit from 1 to 2, okay, ang i-incur mo na cost from 250 magiging 360 siya. Ibig sabihin, yung marginal cost mo dito is 110. Answer mo dyan is boy. Okay, 110. Pag sabi mo marginal cost, ano yung additional cost mo in producing one unit, another unit, okay? Or additional unit. That's letter B, 110. Number 23, last item for microeconomics. In the long run, firms may experience increasing returns due to economies of scale. Mas tumataas yung production, mas naging efficient tayo, average cost mo bumababa. Ang tawag doon, economies of scale, letter D for number 23. Okay, so that's for microeconomics.